Hello everybody, I'm John Pollock and this is Fight News Now Extra. We have tons to discuss with John Ramdeen and Robin Black as much more comes to light involving Thiago Silva. The UFC suspends a light heavyweight, a UFC retirement, and a big knockout finish from Japan at Fight Night 52. Mark Hunt returned to action in impressive fashion with a knockout of Roy Nelson at the 3-minute mark of the second round at UFC Fight Night 52 in Saitama, Japan. The two sized up one another in the opening round, with Nelson having the edge in strikes, but Hunt found his timing in the second frame, and it all led to a devastating right uppercut which placed Nelson face first on the mat. This was Hunt's first fight since last December, and now finds himself in the mix of possible contenders within the heavyweight mix. Wanderlei Silva announced on a pre-taped video feature on Friday that he is retiring from mixed martial arts and is not going out quietly. The 18-year veteran attacked the UFC in the video for trying to turn his fans against him, pressuring him to fight in July when his body was not ready, and explained all of the injuries he has accumulated and that fighters do not receive enough respect for what they provide to fight promoters. Silva is scheduled to be stepping in front of the Nevada State Athletic Commission on Tuesday to address his incident from this past May where he avoided a random drug test. Thiago Silva has been cut yet again by the UFC after a number of videos have surfaced online of Silva being filmed by his now ex-wife, where Silva has possession of a gun and at one point cocks the gun. His ex-wife, Faiza Kimiji, had left the country and charges against Silva were dropped in Florida due to a lack of cooperation from Kimiji, but she has now posted these videos after Silva came out and called her a liar, and she tells MMAfighting.com that she has never lied about anything, and there are allegedly more videos involving Silva. And another domestic violence-related issue has led to light heavyweight Anthony Johnson being suspended indefinitely by the UFC after a report surfaced from BloodyElbow.com. The report states that Johnson was accused of striking his former partner and mother to his children, knocking out 2 of her teeth 2 years ago, but she declined to press charges. The woman in question, whose name is not publicly known, recently made reports to authorities that she is frightened of Johnson, has been receiving text messages from an unknown number, and Johnson also recently showed up at her residence and took their dog. And we are joined now by John Ramdeen and the returning Robin Black. Robin, we're obviously sorry the way things went down last week. You became the only fighter I've ever heard of that cutting weight in order to do ring announcing on the weekend. But I mean, obviously a lot of highs and lows last week, but was it a worthwhile trip to King of the Cage Canada? Did you take a lot away from the weekend?
Yeah, it really was, to be honest. It was a shame, I did the hard part, but not the fun part. You cut all the weight and you do all the training, and I separated my shoulder 10 days out. But, I got I'm there for the experience. I'm there to have valuable experience. So from a selfish point of view, I never got my 10th fight. But, and I'm retired, and I'm going to be very proud of the 9 fights that I did and, the things I learned. But I learned to have a bad injury the last week and get through it and understand the stress and the trauma and all the extra things. That was a very valuable experience. Cutting weight alone, I wanted that experience. I got it. And having your fight cancel, I know how these guys are going to feel now. It was pretty terrible. But I ring announced, I set up the cage, I learned to set up the cage, I hung out with a ton of friends. Great people reached out to me and said, congratulations on the fights that you had. And I'm good with it.
Awesome. And on top of that, you got to become a news item on Fight News Now Extra on Friday, which is something me and John Ramdeen, unless one of us tests positive for steroids, will probably never happen. We have some very serious news stories today to discuss, including a retirement of Wanderlei Silva, but even bigger than that, 2 cases involving domestic violence here. Do either of you have any issues with how the UFC dealt with the 2 individual cases? Thiago Silva released again. Anthony Johnson, it's kind of they're looking into it, and for the meantime, indefinitely suspended. Obviously, this is top of mind for most, not only sports fans, everybody right now in the wake of everything that's happening in the NFL and the UFC. You could really go back that, the Thiago Silva case, this was a dicey one to bring this guy back.
Why did they bring him back? I don't understand. That makes no sense to me. You release the guy because of the domestic assault, and then it's like, okay, well, we're confused about the details. We're going to bring him back, and now some other things surface, so you've decided to cut him instead of investigating. It's very, very bizarre. Anthony Johnson says his partner was a liar, and I think the UFC should back their guy until that there's evidence out there.
Which was the same defense Thiago Silva said. His ex-wife was a liar. And this could also apply to the NFL as well. And you bring up a very good point. Should punishments be doled out by organizations before the court process undergoes? Should you know, there is the innocent until proven guilty theory. At the same time, you're the UFC. There's some pretty damning evidence out there. Do you want to be attached with a fighter with that kind of baggage?
Well, you got to put yourself in everybody's shoes to look at their perspective of what they do. And innocent till proven guilty is a court of law. That's how we have to treat people in society. But I own myself a football team, or I own myself a sports league, and something is happening with you in the press that's costing me money, damaging my consumers, damaging the other fighters. I got to do something about it. So those things are very different, and it's all pretty weird. It's all very uncomfortable. You know, the fact that it was there's so much going on over in that thing, I think they call it football, about this.
I think they play on Sundays?
Yeah, I think so. Fights are Saturdays, I know that. But and that made it something that everybody's talking about, and it's a weird one, man. Like, I don't know.
Here's a bigger question. To fight fans at home, if they were to announce next week, Anthony Johnson is fighting Alexander Gustafsson, do you think most would bat an eye?
No, not at all.
We're talking about people, like, and not just fight fans. I mean, women who showed up wearing Ray Rice jerseys in support after all this. I honestly believe that moral issues are very, very low on the totem pole when it comes to fans and how they want to take in their entertainment and who they're going to pay to watch. We just watched Floyd Mayweather Jr. sell how many pay-per-view units? If you entertain me, I don't care what you do.
Dude, that dude beat up Rihanna. Look how pretty and small and innocent that girl is. He beat her up. People buy that guy's records. Yeah, that guy. What does he play? I don't know him. Does he fight for Bellator?
He doesn't box.
No, but I mean, you know, you're right. You're right. We as people, we go, we're not standing for this. You're not going to hurt women. You're not going to harm children. There's a lot of things we won't stand for. And yet, as sports and entertainment consumers, sometimes we're just stupid. You know?
I'm getting the rap signal. This was a very quick chat. Mark Hunt, he also won on the weekend, and Miles Jury looked fantastic.
Melvin Manhoff.
Bellator, 4 main card first round finishes. It was a tremendous weekend of fights. And Wanderlei Silva retired. We'll chat about that more this week. More Fight News Now Extras coming your way.